Hello, today on Arts 24, he's one of the masters of Nordic Noir, a best-selling Icelandic author published in around 40 countries with more than 5.5 million books sold worldwide. And France is one of his biggest markets. His new novel, Hulda, is out in French now. Ragnar Jónasson, welcome to France 24.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, you were last here to talk about your book, Reykjavik, written with Iceland's former Prime Minister, and you're now back with your 16th novel. France is one of your most loyal markets. What is it about French readers and Icelandic noir, do you think?
Oh, it's very hard to say, but it's a magical relationship, really. And I love coming to France, and I love seeing the readers because they're so engaged and they love their books. They love reading books. They're always buying books, reading books, and I think the French readers just love books and.
It's a very literary society.
It is a literary society. And fortunately, they like Icelandic books as well.
Fortunately. We first met your character detective, Hulda Hermannsdóttir, in your trilogy, The Darkness, The Island, The Mist. Now she's back in a brand new novel called Hulda. The book goes back in time in one of her earliest cases, a disappearance of a baby in 1960. Now, Hulda, she's quite unusual in crime fiction. She's in her 60s. She's being pushed out of the police force. She's underestimated by her colleagues. Why were you attracted to this character in particular instead of someone starting off their career, for example?
So the first books I did write when I was starting off was a book called Snjór, about Snowblind, about a young man starting off. And when I'd finished that series, more or less, I wanted to do something very different. And basically the exact opposite was a woman at the end of her career. And I thought there was both a challenge and also just an interesting perspective, because I don't think there are enough, women of that age as lead characters in crime fiction. I thought it was something that we could do more of, and I wanted to contribute. And I mean, these 3 are now 4 books. It is the life story of Hulda and her tragic life, really. And I just love telling her story. I love being in her company on the...
And the readers love it too. Well, writing women, victims, investigators, women failed by the system, failed by institutions, it is a reoccurring thread now in your fiction. Iceland is held up as this global model of gender equality. Are you deliberately writing against that?
Not really, but I mean, Iceland is, again, fortunately, usually at the top of that list for gender equality, and we are very, very proud of that. And I have 2 daughters, and I love raising them in a society where they have all the chances in the world. But of course, no society is perfect, and that's the same for Iceland. And as a writer, you want to point out the faults and what can be done even better. And for Hulda, we go back in time as well, and then we see how things used to be in Iceland. But they are better now than they were at the time when Hulda was starting off.
Well, in Iceland, more books are written, published and sold per person per year than anywhere else on the planet. Even the former Prime Minister, Katrin Jakobsdóttir, is a writer. You wrote a book with her, as we said earlier. We went to Iceland a couple of years ago to find out how such a tiny population produces so many creatives. And we spoke to another crime writer, Lilja Sigurðardóttir, who told us why she thinks the country has more crime writers than any other.
We have a very, very low murder rate, but we have quite a high rate of other sorts of crime. A lot of economic crime, a lot of sexual violence, like epidemic proportions. And Iceland might, look very nice and perfect from the outside, but there is a very dark underside here, like everywhere else. In the Nordic Noir, in general, there's not a big belief in evil. It's more a belief in social problems that create crime. The land itself is very creative, It's a country that's still being born. It's coming out from the center of the earth. It's like a creative energy that's just coming from deep down in the Mother Earth.
So Ragnar, that was from our special show that we recorded in Iceland a few years ago. Why do you think this tiny island produces so many storytellers?
I think it's because writing is so much in our DNA. Our history and our heritage is the Icelandic sagas, which basically are the are the first crime novels in Iceland, written, hundreds of years ago, on calf skin, really, and preserved to this day. And these are stories that we love and cherish, and we kept telling each other back in centuries ago, and then they were written down. And so storytelling is very much who we are. So I think everyone in Iceland wants to write a book, and most of us have.
And Nordic Noir is now a global brand, and with Stieg Larsson, Jo Nesbø, Mankell. Does that label help or hinder you?
I think it helps. I mean, these are giants that that have been doing this for many years and have created this brand. And of course, every author does his own thing. And I would not sit down to write a book and say to myself, I will be writing a Nordic Noir. I will be writing a book that's set in Iceland with all the history and all the terrible weather and whatever we have in Iceland that makes our country special. But then it goes to the bookstore and it is a Nordic Noir book, and that's fine. That's fine. But every author has his own or her own voice.
And Ragnar, you started all of this as a teenager, translating Agatha Christie into Icelandic. And this year, of course, marks 50 years since her death. And the Queen of Crime remains the most widely read author in the world, selling more than 4 million books a year. And we'll talk about her in a minute and her influence on your work. But first of all, Aurore Dupuy has this report.
In the hometown of the Queen of Crime, her statue keeps a watchful eye over an annual gathering that fans wouldn't dream of missing. Half a century after her death, Agatha Christie admirers keep stepping into the shoes of their favourite characters.
Miss Marple-esque, shall we say.
And I have my bag where I have all my papers in and where I would keep my clues. Since a boy of 12 reading the Agatha Christie books. And I've seen all the TV programmes.
Agatha Christie's books rank among the most widely read in the world, second only to the Bible and Shakespeare. More than 60 detective novels and 25 plays to her name, the Queen of Crime has, it seems, also become the Queen of Business. Book sales alone are thought to bring in more than €5 million every year. A legacy now overseen by her great-grandson, James Pritchard, who also holds the reign of the movie adaptations.
We've had Les Petits Mœurs in France, which has been hugely successful over many years. We did a Miss Marple series in Korea a few years ago, which was mad but brilliant. We've done some Japanese television in China. We've done stuff in Sweden. It's a global business.
James and his family have also expanded the business by developing a whole range of Agatha Christie byproducts.
We have our lovely Mr. Poirot mug.
But also card games, kitchen cloths, and even Agatha Christie tea. In all, over €26 million are made annually.
Anything that has the name on it has a certain value. So, yeah, I mean, that is part of our business. Part of our business is almost the trademark of Agatha Christie.
The Agatha Christie franchise is far from getting out of style. The play The Mousetrap has been running non-stop for 74 years.
We are just approaching 30,500 performances, which is the longest-running play in the world.
With 9 performances a week, it's almost always sold out, and the secret behind its success remains closely guarded.
She includes the audience in on the secret. So every show ends with the cast asking the audience to keep the secret of who committed the murder.
Every time the curtain falls, the cast carries the pride of being part of Agatha Christie's enduring legacy.
By the time the curtain goes up, the audience is watching our every move.
We, the cast, can place our suspicions on different people each night, but you can't do any of that without a great script. So I think Agatha's number one, and then we all just fall in line.
More than a century after her first book was published, Agatha Christie remains the undisputed queen of crime fiction, with stories that continue to captivate new generations of readers.
Now, Ragnar, you started out translating her works. How much of an influence does she have on your work?
A lot of influence. I mean, I started translating her when I was 17 years old and did that for more than 10 years. And when I started writing the books, they tend to be the same length as Christie's books. And I admire so much what she did in terms of setting, plotting, surprising the reader, and all of that is something that I try to incorporate into what I'm doing.
Well, your work, your Hulda series, has been adapted for television
Yes.
in the first book called The Darkness, and it is reaching new audiences. It was out in France earlier this year on Polar Plus and Polar TV Plus. What does it feel like to see that character on screen?
It was incredible. So Lena Olin portrays Hulda, and for me, she is the perfect actress to do this role because I'd never envisaged Hulda when I was writing the books. But when Lena came on board, I thought this is Hulda, and she did a fantastic job. And she actually, watching her do this role when I was on set every day, is what inspired me to write the new book Hulda, because there were never supposed to be 4 books. It was a trilogy. But this one is dedicated to Lena and Lasse Hallström, who directed the series. So the series very much inspired a book in return. So it goes full circle.
A full circle of the creative process. Okay, well, Ragnar Jónasson, thank you so much for joining us here on France 24. Hulda is out in French now. It will be out in English next year, and you can watch the TV series The Darkness on Polar TV, adapted from the first book in the trilogy. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.
I've already told you I can't share that information right now.
What was that?
She thinks it was a friend of the glacier.
Wait! I'm a detective, and I want to help.
Police don't care.
I do, okay? I care. A woman is dead. Put me on the case.
Hulda, you were suspended for assaulting an officer.